college education is the key to the American dream.
In all corners of the world, education is deemed, and rightly so, the key to a better life and to the attainment of the American dream. And education can enable people to climb up the social ladder to a better life, which sociologists call upward social mobility. On the other hand, education has its own limitations. In the next little while, we will look at two kinds of social mobility that are influenced by education: inter- and intragenerational mobility.
Intergenerational mobility, as Schaefer defines it, involves changes in the social position of children relative to their parents. Let's look at an example. Leo is born to two factory workers who have no college education. He then graduates first with a college degree, and with further education in medicine, he becomes a medical doctor. Leo has thus experienced upward intergenerational mobility. In this case, we see how Leo has used education as a tool to climb the social ladder, moving from a lower social position to a higher one. The next type of social mobility that we're going to discuss is intra-generational mobility.
I had made a commitment to myself to get my degree, and I really felt to better our lives, I had to get that degree. It has paid off financially that I got the degree. We are financially better off than we were then.
This here is another example where education has been harnessed in a quest to improve one's lifestyle. Pat mentions that it has paid off financially to get the degree. In the past two examples, both Leo and Pat have experienced some form of upward mobility. The difference is that Leo experienced upward mobility with respect to his parents' social positions, thus intergenerational mobility, whereas Pat experienced mobility with respect to her social position before she got her degree, thus intragenerational mobility. We have now analyzed how the attainment of an education can lead to upward mobility, both inter- and intergenerationally. But what do we mean by education? Is college education still the key to the American dream? We will answer those questions by analyzing the value of a college education and its limitations as a factor of social mobility.
A very few years ago, it was possible to graduate from high school and get a job that could sustain a family and even sustain a middle-class standard of living in the United States. Those days are over. Never again will we see that time. College education is an absolute necessity for any individual to enter and stay in the American middle class.
McClellan discusses a time when a high school diploma was the bare minimum requirement for entry into America's paid labor force. Today, a college degree is virtually the bare minimum. Conflict theorists use credentialism to describe the increase in the minimum level of education required to enter a field. Indeed, recent years have seen a huge increase in the number of people with a college degree entering the job market, and this has vastly changed who is in America's middle class. So who does credentialism affect?
Everyone!
Yes, credentialism affects everyone, some groups of people more than others. Let us begin by taking a look at the effects credentialism have on those who already possess a college degree. Schaefer claims that an undergraduate degree serves less as a guarantee of upward mobility today than it did in the past, simply because more and more entrants into the job market now hold such a degree. In order to be more competent, such degree holders are pushed to obtaining postgraduate and professional degrees, which means more money needed for higher education, more loans, and more time spent in school. For poor and working class people, the impacts of credentialism are far-reaching. Poor people have less job qualifications and generally don't have the money to invest in paying for one degree after the other. Therefore, poor and working class families are more likely to suffer the escalation of qualifications since they lack the financial resources needed to compete, this leading to social class stagnation. Thus, the poor remain poor.
A recent trend in education has caused an overall decline in intergenerational mobility. In earlier decades, many high school educated parents successfully sent their children to college. But today's college students are increasingly likely to have college-educated parents, narrowing the chances of experiencing upwards mobility.
Lastly, the socioeconomic status of students plays a huge role in determining the quality of education that a student receives, and this in turn affects the student's opportunities for upwards mobility. Children from poor and working-class families tend not to have the same educational opportunities as their middle-class counterparts.
If you're low income and you go to college, you're more likely to be at a community college or maybe a regional state college, but most likely at a community college.
In addition, of all students in America who make it to college, 50% of them enroll in community colleges. Out of this 50%, 2 out of every 3 students live without a degree. These statistics show how education contributes to perpetuating the poor class, thus limiting upwards mobility for the poor and working classes.